Good morning, everybody. My name is Abigail Miller. I'm the manager of crowdfunding and social media at WeRaise Ministries, and we'll be guiding you in this fun presentation today. We'll be talking all about crowdfunding. Specifically, we'll talk a little bit about WeRaise, which is the crowdfunding platform hosted by WeRaise Ministries. The good news is all of the information that we'll share today, most of it is relevant to other crowdfunding platforms. So even if you're not sure that you're going to use WeRaise, totally fine. A lot of these tips and strategies apply across all platforms. Let's get started. We have a lot of information to cover, so my apologies if I go a mile a minute here. I'll try to make sure it's digestible, but also that you have everything you need to successfully crowdfund whatever ministry it is that you are hoping to get going. Just for some context, I'm going to ask you a few questions that hopefully you have a piece of paper, you can jot this down, but write down 3 to 5 needs in your community. And this, if you have a crowdfunding project in mind, write down the need that you're hoping to meet. You know, do people need jobs? Are there no after school options for kids? Is there a high violence rate in your community? What are the needs around you? And also, as I define community, really community is whatever group of people you are doing life with. And I know that's kind of a cliche phrase these days, but this could be your church community, it could be your geographic community, your neighborhood, it could be your softball team, your band. What is the group of people that you are living life with, that you're sharing your life with, that you have learned of needs in their community? It also could be people that just are around you. You know, in St. Louis here, we have lots of refugee populations, and so there's lots of ministries serving them. So all that to say, write down 3 to 5 needs in your community. So if you're brand new to thinking about ministry and what you could do for outreach and caring for others, just write down what you see, even if you don't know the exact cause. All right, so hopefully you've written a few things down. Now pick one of those needs, one maybe that's nearest and dearest to your heart, or one that seems particularly important right now. Pick one of those needs and write down what can be done about it. Of course, if you don't have a full ministry game plan, that's totally fine, but think through what could be done about it. So is it starting an after-school program? Is it starting a job training program? Think about what you want the solution to be. All right, hopefully you've gotten something there. Now, how much would it cost to do whatever you wrote? Would it cost $5, $500, $500,000? Just a ballpark figure of how much money it would cost to get that started effectively. One of the things that I see a lot with ministry is that we tend to undervalue the things that we do, and we try to do it on as little budget as possible, which I absolutely understand. But we believe in a big God that does big things, and he provides, and all of the resources in the world are his to manage. So don't be afraid if your project is going to cost a little bit of money. It's better to do it well as you represent Christ in the world than to just barely do it. Remember, dream big. God is good. So how much would it cost to do whatever you wrote? Last but not least, make a list of 5 to 10 people that are also interested in this need. So these do not have to be staff members of your organization. Of course, they can be if that applies. These could be, you know, if you're looking at an after-school program, maybe parents in the school that would be interested in meeting this need, or other volunteers, people in your church, neighbors, who are just 5 to 10 people that also might be interested. All right, jot those names down. There's no wrong answers. I can't see your papers. So that right there, those questions, you have basically come up with the core of a crowdfunding campaign. And we'll give that a little more shape as we go through this, but that is going to be a list that you can refer back to and say, you know, when we're talking about these different elements, what you wrote down are perfect examples of what we're talking about. Now, before we really get into the nitty-gritty of crowdfunding, I want to give you a little context for who I am and WeRaise itself. So WeRaise.us, the crowdfunding site, it's a Christian crowdfunding platform hosted by WeRaise Ministries. And if you are unfamiliar with WeRaise Ministries, we have been supporting new health and human care initiatives around the world for a long time. Our organization's been around since 1905, and we've been providing grants and support for over 60 years. We really pride ourselves on finding innovative, interesting new ministries. We love taking a risk on inspired leaders. We know that when God's involved, it's not all that risky after all. So You don't have to prove yourself to us. We want to see your great ideas, and we are happy to support you and help you through the process. A big part of our granting is not just funds, but we also provide resources and support around developing different parts of your nonprofit. So we understand that not everybody's gifted in every little thing. So how do you raise up leaders around you, and how do you create a long-term strategic vision for where your organization is going to go and how you're going to help people? So that's Wheat Ridge. A few examples of organizations that just got started with some support and funding from us are Stevens Ministries or Lutheran Volunteer Corps. Those are separate. I made that sound like the same one. Canine Comfort Dogs, all sorts of things. Go to our website, wheatridge.org, and you'll see just a wide variety of innovative, great ideas that people have pursued and creative ministries that are meeting needs. So head over there if you need some inspiration. Sometimes after I've read some bad news and heard how the world just seems like it's falling apart, I go there and I read about all the great things being done in the world. So that is a little about who we are at Wheat Ridge. What is crowdfunding, if you're unfamiliar? So crowdfunding, which is also known as peer funding or peer-to-peer funding, it's a way to gather contributions for an idea or cause online. As you might have noticed, there is what people are calling a collaborative economy that has kind of sprung up. And so you look at all the different ways that people can volunteer and be a part of both the selling and the buying. So you see Airbnb or Uber, where everybody's participating kind of in all parts of the process. Crowdfunding is another way that people are doing that. So people are putting ideas online and the crowd can fund them instead of just having to find one big investor to fund them. So that's the general idea. Crowdfunding isn't that novel of a concept. You're part of a church, you know that gathering offering and tithes from a wide group of people is not a new thing, but crowdfunding involves that online element and that social element. And again, we'll dig into kind of the benefits of that in a minute. Now, within each campaign, there are some consistent things, no matter which platform you use, that are vital elements to be successful. And again, so this applies not only to WeRaise, but also any website you use. And just so you know, as we go through this, I'm happy to answer your questions offline as well. We want you to be successful. So regardless of if you use WeRaise, we want you to be successful in launching your ministry and serving people in the name of Christ. So we're happy to help apply this information wherever needed. But first, any successful crowdfunding campaign has a defined project focus. What does not work is to throw up a crowdfunding page and just say, help us pay our bills. Actually, that might work if you're specific about which bills and how much they are, but you want a defined project. We're starting an after-school program. We are opening a food bank. We are launching this crazy, innovative, exciting, specific ministry, and we want you to help us. So you're going to have a defined project and focus. Don't leave it ambiguous. People like knowing that their money is going to start something specific. You're also going to have a specific funding goal. Like I said, people want to know what their money is doing. So they want to know that that $100 they're giving you, is that a little drop in the bucket, or is that a huge part of your goal? So having a specific funding goal allows donors to know that they are moving the needle, that they're moving you forward and your ministry forward. So have a specific funding goal. I've seen some people try to crowdfund with there are other types of platforms out there where you can kind of set ambiguous goals, where it just says, we're going to raise a bunch of money in 30 days. I strongly recommend having a goal. Even if you're hoping to exceed it, give people something to work towards, to get their head around as they're giving you money. Now, an important piece that is WeRaise specific, although other sites are like this, but not all of them, WeRaise is what is known as an all or nothing crowdfunding site. So you must raise 100% of your goal to receive any of the funds at all. For example, if you decide you need $10,000 to start your food bank and you set your goal at $10,000, you need to get $10,000 in pledges before the end of the campaign so that all of those funds will be processed. If you do not hit your goal, let's say your 30 days is up and you only raised $5,000 of your $10,000 goal, none of the money changes hands. The credit cards simply are not processed. Make sure to read the fine print as you're looking at other sites. Some of these that are not all or nothing, where it's called flexible funding. Some of those have higher fee rates if you don't hit your goal. So just read the fine print, make sure you know what you're getting into. Every project should have a set duration and timeline. This is just a great practice. It is motivating when you add a little bit of urgency, and people want to know when you're going to do what you're going to do. That also relates to perks and follow-up, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But you're going to have a set duration. It's not going to be, however long it takes us to give $6,000 to raise $6,000, we're going to keep it up there. Have a set duration so that people know that they need to give right away. If they have too much time, they're going to wait, they're going to forget, and it's really going to lose that momentum and excitement. WeRaise has a specific window that you have to use. You have to choose from 30, 35, 40, or 45 days for the length of your campaign. And we did that for a very specific reason. We worked with a platform provider who hosts a variety of platforms across different sectors, not just nonprofit, but in a wide variety of different places. And they found that anything less than 30 days really didn't have enough time to get traction, unless it was, one of those crazy ideas that everybody just funds instantly. But under 30 days really didn't have enough time to get traction, and anything more than 45 days really lost momentum. After 45 days, people lost interest, or it really didn't go well when it was too long. We just went ahead and made that a requirement: 30, 35, 40, or 45 days. Last, any crowdfunding campaign needs to have a project team. I like to say that crowdfunding isn't just about getting donations and buy-in from a crowd, but it's also getting a crowd to communicate the message. So if you are crowdfunding alone, stop right now and find a group of people. So that group of people at the beginning, that 5 to 10 people you wrote down, those were not donors. Well, hopefully they would also be donors. Those were your project team. So you want a group of people that this whole time you're working on the video with, you're using all of their skills and abilities to beef up the project. But then also, as the project is online, not only are they spreading it to their networks, but you guys can rally together, you can pray together, you can work together. Every campaign hits a lull in the middle, and so your team can get together and say, all right, what's the plan next? What are we going to do to drum up some more excitement? So make sure that you have a whole project team working with you on your campaign. Now, for a project that's about $10,000, I typically recommend a team of 3 to 5 people. If you have a project that's about 20,000 or more, I'd suggest 5 to 8. But obviously, that's up to you and how many people you think you can manage and keep on the same page. You don't want a team that's too big that people don't have specific tasks to be in charge of. But that size of team really depends on kind of your goal and what you can handle. All right, now this is for all my visual learners out there, and a little bit more specifically about WeRaise. So your idea, so that ministry idea, whatever it is, plus contributions of all sizes, and it really is all sizes on our site. I've seen $1 gifts, I've seen $8,500 gifts. It's everything in between. Multiply that by other people in your network, and that equals ministry launched. So on WeRaise, if you reach 100% or more of your goal, the funds are processed, they come to Wheat Ridge, and we send them to you in the form of a grant check. So technically the funds that you get are a grant from Wheat Ridge, and that I'll explain all that in a little bit when you get to that portion of the crowdfunding project. So now a little bit, again, more specifically about WeRaise, what can be posted on our site. In order to apply, projects have to meet these criteria. It has to be a Christian organization. Ultimately, it needs to be a Christian faith-driven project. You need to be affiliated with a 501c3. So maybe you haven't gotten your 501c3 status yet. Feel free to partner with a different 501c3. They can be your fiscal agent. The grant check will come to them, and then they can dish it out to you. This also works for our international projects. If you are not a U.S. 501c3, partner with a church that you know well, that you have a relationship with in the United States that is a 501c3, and they can act as your fiscal agent. There's ways to work with that, but we do that so we can make sure that the grant check is going to a legitimate organization. we find that to be an important piece of this puzzle. And last but not least, it must be focused on health and human care. Now, this is a very broad category here at Wheat Ridge. And so the example I like to give is basketball jerseys. If you told me, we want to raise money for basketball jerseys, I would of course ask you why. Well, if you said, I just want our team to look good, we really just need some sharp basketball jerseys, I would say, good luck, but you will need to find a different platform. However, if I asked you why you wanted basketball jerseys and you said, well, we have this group of kids that gets together after school, we play basketball with them, we really have to start mentoring them, we're trying to teach them leadership skills, and now we're going to start a league, and we need basketball jerseys to be a part of this after school program. We think it'll give them some ownership and some pride in this team. Then absolutely, that would be a great fit for WeRaise, because you are meeting a health and human care need. You are meeting the needs of the kids in that program. The way that we ask you to address this in your project profile when you're building it out is that you'll have to explain how it's meeting a need. How is it caring for people and moving them towards who God created them to be and freeing them from whatever's holding them back. That can look like a lot of things, so it's hard to explain a little bit. All right, so why WeRaise? Why did we even create this site? WeRaise offers a unique faith-based crowdfunding experience. It's a unique platform. It's the only crowdfunding site for faith-based health and human care initiatives. Now, you might be saying, hey, I've seen some other faith-based crowdfunding sites. That is absolutely accurate. You will also notice that most of those sites are not very well funded. A lot of the projects just aren't quite meeting their goals like you would hope. And we think that that has to do with a lot with our goal in caring for the leaders that are on our site and making sure that they're equipped. Things like this webinar, making sure they have the resources to crowdfund well. But we specifically have health and human care initiatives as our focus. We don't allow things like scholarships or help paying an individual's medical bills. We specifically are for funding programs and projects. The niche platform, it gives donors confidence and it provides support for projects, as I just explained. It's tax deductible, so all contributions on the site are tax deductible, which is clearly an attractive option for your funders. And that, because the funds are coming to Wheat Ridge, we're sending the grant check to you. We actually handle the donor receipt process. So we send out their notifications when their pledge has been processed, and we also send out their receipt from Wheat Ridge. Now, the good news is this is not us stealing all your donors and laughing maliciously. The donors are yours to follow up with. At any point during your project, when it's live or after it's closed, clearly, you can download a list of all the donors to your project. That list includes their name, their email address, and their shipping address. So if you have rewards or perks to send them, or you want to send them a follow-up letter, you're welcome to do so. And in fact, we really encourage it. Crowdfunding is a terrific tool, but it's not just about raising money. It's also about connecting people with the excitement and the mission that you're a part of. So crowdfunding works because you're not just reaching this small group of people, you're reaching their networks, which I'll talk to when we talk through our donor plan. But really, please follow up with these donors. The worst thing is to spend all this time and energy and effort on building a crowdfunding project that's successful, and then you leave all those donors hanging. They've clearly expressed an interest in what you're doing. They're supportive. They've put their money where their mouth is. And so please, please, please follow up with these people and engage them in the great work that you're doing. Engaging on that same note. So WeRaise is designed to easily engage your personal networks. And of course, you'll be exposed to Wheat Ridge's donor network. We always say around Wheat Ridge, we believe in a God of abundance. So we are not afraid to promote your crowdfunding project. I will say you should, as you're planning out your project, don't rely on Wheat Ridge's network to mainly fund your project. You can surely expect gifts from our donors. It's not uncommon. There's a group of donors that kind of trolls the site and gives to all sorts of projects. So don't be surprised if you get Wheat Ridge donors, but don't bank on it. Don't have that be where you expect the bulk of your funding to come from. Those are also not going to be your most valuable relationships. Most likely the valuable relationships are going to be the ones that come from your network, the ones that are connected to you in other ways. So it is designed to easily tell the story, so when you're on the site, feel free to take a look and click those social media buttons. The plugins are on the site so that you can click the buttons and they will automatically allow you to share the project through them. There's also a button on the site that allows you to embed a little widget, a little preview of your project on your own website, which I'll show you when we get there. There's easy ways to get the word out about your project. One last note on that. So I know for some of you, Facebook, Twitter, you're sure they're great. Maybe they're not your cup of tea. Maybe that's not really where you spend your time. It's not all that valuable. You think it's a bunch of people writing about their lunch. Don't worry. Social media is an asset to a crowdfunding campaign, but not a requirement. So if you do not have a huge Twitter following, maybe you don't even have a handle at all, that doesn't mean that you can't crowdfund. It's just you'll just have to be more strategic and have a different plan for how you get the word out. We had a project early on that was trying buttons for this is a story for anybody who doubts the power of social media. We had a project that was checking out the buttons, and they were clicking around, and they clicked the Facebook page button, and it liked their project, which showed up on their project page, or on the leader's Facebook page. And so from there, within 10 minutes, somebody had liked that status and then given $100 to their project. Now, this person was not somebody who they expected to give. It wasn't a Christian. It was somebody that just happened to be interested in what the project was about. So just rest in the fact that the people that know you, that care about you, that you're friends with, that you're connected with, they want to know what's exciting to you. So don't doubt that whatever it is that you're passionate about, don't be surprised that other people are potentially passionate about it too. So spread the message far and wide. You never know who's going to bite. Ongoing support. So at this point in the presentation, if I had fake trumpet sounds, this is where I would like do the do. Okay, so this is like the big element of why WeRaise is different. So unlike other crowdfunding sites, successful WeRaise projects may be eligible for additional funding from WheatRidge. As I said, WheatRidge gives out grants to new health and human care ministries, and right now you have to have a Lutheran affiliation to be eligible for those grants. Now with WeRaise, if you successfully raise funds on WeRaise, you can then, regardless of your Lutheran affiliation, you can apply for additional funds from WheatRidge. So maybe you're looking to expand or replicate, duplicate, whatever that ministry is, there's potential for us to invest in that. So more funding and support from us. So it's more money, continue to impact. That's a great thing. On that same note, so WheatRidge, what we get out of this site is more people trying new innovative ideas in caring for their communities and changing the way their communities look. For that reason, WeRaise is not a money-making effort for us. WeRaise is a tool to get more people in our pipeline of grants. So on that same note, we do not take any fees from the site. Most sites, you'll see that there's a credit card processing fee and a platform fee. Usually it's a credit card processing fee around 3% and an added fee of 5%. But on WeRaise, you are just paying a credit card and platform processing fee of 4.9% plus 30 cents a transaction. WheatRidge takes none of the money that you raise. Okay, so as you're looking at other sites, and again, feel free, find the one that fits best for you. Make sure that you check the fine print and see what the fees are all associated, because sometimes they list them separately. They'll say credit card processing, and then they'll also say some other fees on a different page. So read the fine print. On WeRaise, you will pay 4.9% plus 30 cents a transaction. Experience. So WheatRidge has seeded new innovative new ministries around the world, and donors are assured by our solid reputation, and we have a great reputation with Better Business Bureau. Some crowdfunding sites, which I shall not name now, have an F rating. There's a few stories. You can just Google crowdfunding fraud. There's a lot of sites that there's not a lot of vetting that goes on when they're approving projects. So one project I was just reading about, it happened a while ago, but it was for a board game. They raised over $120,000, but ultimately the board game, the people that were behind it said, well, we can't do this. And none of the donors got their money back because the funds had been processed and the plan simply wasn't going to work. On WeRaise, you share your ministry plan, you share your ministry budget. We know that you are going to be able to do what you say you're going to do. And we ask you that question. If there are any red flags, we follow up with you. But donors know that their money is going to something that can legitimately happen because we have vetted the projects. All right, now we're going to go through the specifics of building a project on WeRaise. First, you can complete a WeRaise pre-approval application. This is available on the site. This is not a requirement. We used to require this, but we no longer do. But if you're not sure if your project's going to be a fit for the site, you can fill this out. It takes about 5 minutes, if not less, depending on how fast you type. Just give us a general idea of your project, and we'll let you know within 48 hours if we think that your project will be a fit for the site. Again, not required, but if you don't want to build out a full project before you find out you are or are not a fit, feel free to fill out the pre-approval application. And details can be changed after that application. So if you aren't sure of your goal, just put in an estimate and we'll go from there. All right, you're going to complete a WeRaise project budget. And for that, I'm going to take you to the actual Excel. So you should be seeing an Excel right now. This is the WeRaise project budget. You have to use our template. It's pretty simple and straightforward. We used to have it as a PDF, but then you had to do all the math yourself, and that's no fun. So why do math when technology can do it for you, right? So you'll fill in these boxes just about your organization, who we should contact if we have any questions, or who we should contact if you successfully are funded. This box right here, please include any special delivery instructions, so whose attention it should be sent to, or if there's a certain department it should be sent to, anything that we need to know. Here's your project budget. You are going to include any expenses related to your budget. Feel free to include capital expenses, staff expenses, payroll, overhead, whatever costs are going to be associated with whatever that project is. List them here. We're going to need signs and paint, $600, and that will automatically populate down here. So fill that out. We'll need part-time staff, and it's $1,000. Who knows what they're doing, but it's worth $1,000. So you'll fill out whatever those costs are. We realize that you might not know exactly, but ballpark what they are. Be as specific as you can be so that we have an idea. We're going to use this budget to make sure that whatever you say you're going to do is possible. So you're going to fill out those budget details. Down here, you're going to include the cost of any perks. We're going to talk more about perks in a little bit, but let's say we're going to send everybody a postcard. It's going to cost 50 cents. We're going to send out 100, so $50. So that gives us our subtotal of expenses. It's going to be about $1,650 in expenses for our project. There's going to be the credit card processing fee of $80, and then our total expenses are about $1,700. So the budget will automatically round that up. This number right here, the WeRaise funding goal, that is going to be the project goal that you set on your WeRaise project. Basically, everything that your project needs to happen, that you need to be able to purchase, should be on this budget, and we will look at it to make sure that your project is feasible. So that's your goal right there. So when you're building your project, if this was your budget, you would be typing 1740 as your project goal on the site. Now to the bottom portion is the stretch goals. In addition to setting your initial goal, you can also set a stretch goal to keep people giving beyond what you raise. So WeRaise has this great pattern of projects raising far more than they originally asked for. Over 50% of our successful projects raise over their goal. So you're going to set a stretch goal if you want. This is optional, but let's say $10,000 is your initial goal, but with an extra $2,000 you can hire a second part-time staff person. So we'll hire a second part-time staff, and that's going to cost us an extra $2,000. So your stretch goal is then going to be what this number is right here. You do not need to raise 100% of your stretch goal to receive those funds. Once you hit your main funding goal, you get everything you raise past that. The stretch goal is really just an invitation to get people to continue to give. Most of our projects have something else that they kind of a next tier that they would love to raise money for. So this is a way to make sure that you have achievable goal originally, but you also have a stretch goal depending on the amount of traction you get with your donors. All right, and you can set 2 stretch goals, and then at the bottom there's a very important box that you cannot leave out, and it's your plan for excess funds. So if you were to raise more than your second stretch goal, or maybe you didn't set stretch goals and you raised 100% of your goal, what will you do with that extra money? It's okay if it just says, goes into general operating or goes to, something not that exciting. We just need to know where the money will go as a grant making body. So because the funds are coming to you in the form of the grant check, we need to be able to say it that we know where they're going. So any funds that are more than you expected to raise, where will they go? It's a fun box to fill out, I think. All right, now let's head back to our presentation here. So once you fill out that project budget, you are going to submit it to us for review. If we see any red flags or anything major missing, we'll follow back up with you. And then you're going to complete a WeRaise donor plan. Crowdfunding is not magic. You don't just put a great idea out there and hope that millions of dollars come from random people trolling the internet to give it to you. I would love if that was the case, but it isn't. The way that you are going to be successful with any fundraising, specifically crowdfunding, is to have a donor plan. And so we provide this form for you on the site. If you don't use WeRaise, feel free to fill this out for whatever site you do use. This is not submitted for review. This is for you and your team. I would recommend every person on the team filling it out for their network, but this is going to show you where the funds are going to come from. It takes a little bit of the mystery and ambiguity out of crowdfunding. So you're just going to list out who you're going to ask and how much you think they're going to give. You can see that SPA column people always ask. That is secured, pending, and actual. Pending is that you haven't asked them yet. Secured is that they've told you that they're going to give that, but they haven't given it yet. And actual is that's what they actually gave you. You don't have to use that column if you don't want to, but it's helpful as the project goes on, you can keep track of who has been asked and who hasn't. So you're going to make a list of all of these people, how much you think they'll give, and then your total anticipated donation revenue. So how much do we think we're going to get from those people? Hopefully your list is longer than 6 people. Obviously, this is just an example. And again, have everybody on your team fill this out. Then you're going to divide that number in half because that's the reality check. So maybe Uncle Jeff isn't going to be able to give as much as you thought. Maybe somebody lost their job. Life happens, and we know that people aren't always able to write big checks like we hope that they will. They may love and support your project, but that doesn't mean that they have the money to give to it. So all that to say, you're going to divide your anticipated donation revenue in half. Then you're going to multiply that number by 3 because that is what we call the power of the crowd. Maybe Uncle Jeff lost his job and he can't give you $100, but maybe he sent out to 10 of his coworkers that would be really interested and several of those gave. Again, like I mentioned before, the value of crowdfunding is not just making money from the people you know, but it's connecting with the second, third, fourth ring of connections to your existing donor network. So you're not just soliciting donations from your donors, you're hoping to connect with a broader audience. You're hoping to connect with more people beyond the people you know. And crowdfunding is a great tool for doing that. All that to say, so the power of our crowd, it got us to 2,000, and then you round up from there. Your anticipated campaign donation total is 2,500. As you're building your project, this number on your donor plan, and if you have multiple donor plans, clearly add it up, but your anticipated campaign donation total should match your funding goal. So if you have a $10,000 goal, but only 2,500 in anticipated donations, I can almost guarantee that your project is probably not going to work. So make sure that you know where the money is going to come from. It's not just a random shot in the dark. All right, now this, I will warn you, is going to be my longest slide, and this is probably all of the most important details in one slide, okay? So we'll go through it and make sure you have what you need. You're going to develop a communication plan. A lot of people make the mistake of planning for the first 30 minutes of their campaign. They think, all right, I'll put it in a newsletter, I'll put it on Facebook, and done. That is not a great communication plan. Fortunately, in our crowdfunding library, we have an Excel template that you choose the length of your campaign. There's a tab for 30, 35, 40, or 45 days. and it helps you to map out what you're planning to do each day of the campaign. It also includes a variety of ideas. So beyond just posting it on Facebook and putting it on Twitter, what are other clever, creative, interesting ways that you can spread the word about your project? Also, make sure that you include a PR, a public relations piece. Crowdfunding is a buzzword, and local papers love local angles. So pitch it to your local paper, send them the information. They typically like a 2-week lead time. So make sure you pitch it 2 weeks out and then remind them again a week out. You can also wait until your project has had some traction before you do that as well. But don't leave local papers and outlets out. They do love stories like this. You're going to create your video. Don't be intimidated. You are not creating an award-winning Sundance film unless you want to, of course. These videos can be shot on an iPhone. I like to say if you don't know how to make a video, or if this makes you nervous, just find any junior high, high school, or college kid and they'll make one on their phone in 5 minutes for you. So create your video, keep it short, sweet. Under 2 minutes is the sweet spot. And in that video, explain what you're going to do. Introduce yourself, of course, and your organization, what you're going to do, how much it's going to cost, and specifically ask them to give. People like to be, prompted to take action. Tell them what you would like them to do. Obviously, don't be bossy about it, but invite them to be a part of it. You're going to determine perks for your donors. There are 2 big reasons to determine perks for your donors. By the way, perks are the incentives that people will get for giving at certain amounts. So, anybody that gives $10 gets a handwritten postcard or something like that. Those are all customized by you. You determine how many are available and what they look like, what they are. But you're going to determine perks for donors. These perks will guide people as they give to your project. So if you set your perks at $1, $3, and $5, most of your donations will come in at $1, $3, and $5. If you set your your perks at $25, $50, and $100, you're more likely to get $25, $50, and $100 donations. I've seen it over and over again on a variety of project reports. People give at the perk levels. It's also a way to kind of encourage people to maybe give a little more. So if you have a $25 perk level and somebody was going to give you $20, well, $5 more gets me something cool and exciting, so I'll just bump it up a little bit. So that there really is some guidance that comes with perks. The most important part of perks is that it's a way for you to engage people in your ministry beyond this crowdfunding project. You're not just taking their money and running. You are engaging them in the work that you are doing. Don't think like t-shirts, mugs, pens. I don't know about you, but I have more t-shirts and mugs than I know what to do with. And it doesn't have to be things that need to ship. So think of all the money that's going to cost to create these items, to ship these items. Don't waste the money that you're raising on these perk items. Instead, think of things that are low to no cost that get people engaged with your ministry. Maybe it's, if you have a school, maybe it's artwork from the kindergartners, or if you have a physical space, this is a great way to get people in your doors again. Maybe you already have a Christmas concert. Well, anybody who gives $100 gets a VIP ticket to the Christmas concert, and all that really means is we save you a seat in the front row, and we put a box of Milk Duds and a Coke on your seat. But have fun with it. Get people in your door. Use it as a reason to get to know them. I like to, most projects like to have a $1 perk, something that everybody gets no matter what they donate. That's a good one for an event as well. Anybody that gives $1 comes to a big celebration event at the end. Determine those perks, get creative, have fun with it. There's some suggestions in the marketing plan, but think outside the box and try not to spend money. You're going to upload images. Of course, the more faces and pictures, the more people can get their head around what you're trying to do. You're going to complete your project profile page. You'll tell people kind of who you are, put your logo on there, give them a little bit of information about the organization itself. You're going to schedule those live events and outreach. You'll have everything lined up and you're not scrambling while the project is happening. And then you're going to make a plan for offline donations. I will guarantee you that you are going to have at least one, if not a handful, of folks that just don't like the internet. They would just rather not. They just want to give you cash. You're going to make a plan for those offline donations. Wheat Ridge cannot accept offline donations and count them towards your project goal. So you can't send us cash, you can't send us checks for them to be applied. And please be sure of any legal ramifications. You can't accept a bunch of money to your organization and then pledge it with the company card. There's actually a rule on WeRaise that an organization cannot give to itself. You can see how that might be that would be a red flag for the IRS if an organization was getting a grant from us, but the money came from the organization. Make a plan for those offline donations. One of the best things that I've seen that has worked really well is what I like to call the donor buddy system. What you do is whatever event you have, maybe it's a church service or a parent meeting, whenever you have a group of people that you're going to announce the project to, and I recommend announcing it as often as possible, have a computer set up in the back with a volunteer that's willing to walk people through the donation process. A lot of times people are just scared to do it. Walk them through the process, make sure that they have what they need. A lot of times people, they just don't want, to accidentally put their credit card on Google or something, something that's not going to happen. It's a secure site. We've done our due diligence in making sure that it's protected. So yeah, just walk them through the process. After that, you'll submit it to us for review. We'll make sure that you've met all the requirements and that it fits the site. And once it's approved, which takes less than 48 hours, usually it takes a few hours, you'll hear back pretty quickly. You'll be able to launch whenever you're ready. You control that. You click the launch button when you're ready. That's the fun and exciting moment. After the project closes and you've raised enough money, you're going to celebrate, of course, because that was a lot of work, but well worth it. You'll receive the funds within a few weeks in the form of a grant check. We'll need you to sign a grant agreement before we can send you the check, but you'll hear from us pretty quick on that. And then you'll do your follow-up. You'll send out your perks. You'll, of course, implement this great project idea that you had. And then 6 to 12 months later, you're going to report back to Wheat Ridge and tell us how it's going. And we use these reports also to keep our eye out for ministries that might be eligible for additional funds. In fact, we have already looked at reports and said, oh, wow, this ministry is doing great things, and invited them to apply for more funds. Those reports are pretty simple and straightforward. I'm going to go through these tips, tricks, and best practices real fast. Have a team behind your campaign. Keep your videos short, sweet, and personal. This one I haven't said yet, and this is honestly a make it or break it strategy for crowdfunding. You can instantly see which projects have not done this, and typically they do not go well. Have your first donors lined up on day one. Usually the goal is about 5 to 10% of your total goal. Have those people lined up on day one. So as soon as you launch, you send them an email and they can make their gift. The only people that you want to see zero on your site are the people that know that they're going to see zero. It's really hard if you put it on, Facebook or put it in a newsletter and somebody goes to that project and they see that nobody's given yet. They don't want to be the first sucker that goes and gives to your project. So have donors lined up to seed that momentum on day one. Don't share it publicly until those people have given. You're going to have a marketing game plan. It's going to plan for the entire length of the campaign, not just the first 30 minutes. You're going to use a variety of channels as you're doing that. We're going to go over to the site. Before you can build a page, before you can build a project, you're going to have to fill out this profile. So create a profile. You'll have to fill all of these fields out for your organization. So your logo there and your details. Once that's filled out, let's see if I'm still logged in here. The site times out. This is an important thing. If you have not been active in 30 minutes or 60 minutes, for security reasons, the site times out. So if you've been working on your project, click save every so often just to make sure that that your project is actually saving, because it does not automatically save when it logs you out. All right, so let's say we're going to start a project. You click Start Project. You choose this template. It's the only one accessible to you at this point. And here you'll just fill this out. Sometimes I get the question of, once I submit my project, how long does it take Wheat Ridge to build the site? We do not have to do any building. You are going to fill out these boxes, and it will automatically populate the template that you see on the site. So go ahead and fill this out. This is where you'll put your video link, add a picture, fill all of this fun stuff out. This is the stuff that we'll review when you submit your project. You can all check this out when you have a moment. Let's look at a specific project page. Let's go to the sabbatical. Now, in case you do not know, WeRaise has a great incentive for sabbatical projects. We believe in having healthy leaders, not waiting till they're drained and tired and sick to give them a break, but proactively taking sabbatical. So we actually have an incentive. If you use WeRaise for your sabbatical project, we will give you a $500 gift to get started. On that same note, we also have a free sabbatical coach that will work with you to build your plan. Also, we'll work with your organization, your church, to prepare for that sabbatical. Sometimes it's hard. You as a ministry leader might know you need a sabbatical, but sometimes it's hard to convince the people around you that you need to take a break. Our sabbatical coach is free, even if you don't use WeRaise. He's wonderful, happy to help. His name is Reverend Tim Fangmeyer. He is a retired LCMS pastor and has worked with a wide variety of folks. He's done a lot of research related to sabbaticals, and he's just absolutely wonderful to work with. Here's the project page. As you can see, their video, their little status bar. Right here, these are the social media buttons I mentioned to you before. And this white button, if you click it, it'll give you the HTML code that you can put on your website. And when you do that, this little preview right here on the left, that is what will show on your website. Any organization, let's say you're a school and you're raising money for a project, any organization that's willing to support you and partner with you on the crowdfunding project, ask if they'll post your project on their website. The more websites you can put this on, the better. And that, when they click it, it will take them to your WeRaise page here. I highly recommend just poking around the site, seeing what other people do, see what kind of creative perks people offer. Feel free to peruse the site, check out the crowdfunding resource library. If you have any questions, email them to me at WeRaise at wheatridge.org. Feel free to send those questions my way. Also, we have these free webinars every month, so have folks sign up for those. Thanks so much for joining us. You as an inspired leader are in our prayers. Wheatridge and our WeRaise team specifically prays for the people that are dreaming big about how they can innovatively solve problems in their community and be the hands and feet of Christ. So know that if you are considering a project, you are being prayed for as you build and as you think through the logistics. Hopefully you find confidence and hope and excitement in that. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us.